Hi everyone, welcome back to RainbowToastStudios. My name is Rainbow, and today I am happy to bring you another speed build. This is a continuation of my rainforest area in my zoo called 5-Star Dreams. We are not at 5 stars yet, but we make it to 4 stars in this video. Today I decided to do a Crested Gibbon enclosure as part of, like I said, my tropical rainforest area. So far, I already built a ringtail lemur exhibit and a black leopard exhibit and added some little entertainment things in here. And right now, I was stuck on fences for a long time because every gibbon enclosure I've ever seen in real life, or primates similar to gibbons, small monkeys, etc., always have closed top enclosures because these are, of course, wonderful escape artists and they love to climb and everything. And I actually spent about 30 minutes building a totally different enclosure, which was basically like what you might see on YouTube as like closed exhibits, where you use tank walls and then one little fence just so that it doesn't close into a marine enclosure, and you use the tank walls as walls for the exhibit, and then what's it called, the elevated path as your roof, so then you have a closed enclosure. The problem though came with the trees, because of course it's a rainforest exhibit, I need trees, and the enclosure was just massive. It was way too big, and I couldn't justify having such a large enclosure for such a small animal. And so I decided to scrap that whole idea. And I was a little bit discouraged because I didn't want to make this a normal enclosure. I try to do something a little special with my enclosures each time. And this time I decided, you know what, because they have monkey bars and everything, let's make it so that kids can play like next to them. Sort of like an interactive thing, like my other exhibit, or like in real life you have interactive exhibits, maybe in like aquariums where you have a tunnel that goes under that kids can crawl through, or maybe like little pop-up areas with prairie dog exhibits, usually for kids to go and have an interactive experience. So we just hit 4 stars there. And I wanted to put sidewalk underneath. I tried it with just the grass. I thought that would be kind of clever. Make them feel like kind of part of the exhibit, but I didn't like that so much. So I just put dirt underneath because I love my dirt path. And I was trying again to do something a little bit different with like the elevation and everything. Ended up doing just a little bit of a lull in it, a little bit of a valley for them, and I put some water in the corner where water would naturally fall, because this is a rainforest and I usually have some water in my rainforest enclosures, including lots of trees and flowers and everything. And wanted to, make it a little bit bigger because I realized it was a little bit small. It was actually smaller than the ringtail lemur exhibit, and these animals are bigger than lemurs. So wanted them to be comfortable, especially because I did not want to have just one. These are definitely animals that are highly social and live in family groups. I think gibbons, I think they can do fine with smaller family groups, like male to females, whatever. But I think they can also get to be pretty large social structures in real life. And gibbons are known for their screaming. They're extremely loud, pretty much like howler monkeys. As far as my experience goes in zoos, in the morning you can hear the howler monkeys and the gibbons. It's pretty great. I've never found it annoying. I don't know, maybe some people can find it annoying, but it's impressive to hear how loud they can be. And it certainly makes it very atmospheric in the zoo to hear animals having fun like that, being super social. And we can actually hear the gibbons later. Very true to life little screams that they put in for them in the game. And now, of course, putting in a ton of flowers and trees and a couple of gates. And yeah, let's go check it out a little bit. Check out the trees, how it feels. I thought it felt pretty good, like from the animal standpoint. Like this wasn't too exposed. I like that it was a little bit dipped down. There's enough trees to be kind of covered. Not too out there. A little bit of privacy. Enough trees, enough like shelters, little toys and everything. And you can hear my my Fab Francine show going on in the background. I was thinking one of these days I want to make a video on marine shows, how I do mine, how I update mine, and what mine looks like for this zoo. Maybe I'll make another one in another zoo, because I guess that would be interesting. But Frankie, my orca, already knows a lot of moves, so she would be easy to make a show with. And I haven't actually updated it since I initially made the zoo. These gibbons have very long arms, so this is a way that they actually run in real life. I think it's so cute, and that's part of the reason I wanted to include them in here. I also like that the males and females are different colors. The males are black and the females are orange, at least in this species, the Crested Gibbon. I think their faces are pretty cute too. We get a little bit of glitching on the monkey bars, but it's okay. We still love them. And they still look super cute doing it, playing with them. This one's running over here with her arms up. It's so cute. I love it. And then I got the idea. So how do I want to do their guest experience around this enclosure, I guess you could say. And I decided that I wanted to do some kind of little education area. And because I like puns and everything, I wanted to call it the education station. And I've never done anything like this. R.I.P. Bully. Bully is Bully was a, gosh, how do you say it? A Wolverine. Bully was a Wolverine. I think it was the first one I put down. I just went over to see if I needed to get a new one, but it looked like we had another one in there, so we're still okay. I have had this zoo for a long time, so it's inevitable that some will die of old age. Also, earlier, Lori died of old age. I didn't think to mention it. Lori was one of my wolves. And we still had other wolves, so we were okay. She was the original, like, alpha female. And so here I put in a little show gate to show, like, that was the area, that was the end of the show area for the orca show. And I noticed that there were people kind of clumping up on that end, and I didn't want them to, so I closed it off with a tank wall. Because I wanted something pretty tall that the gibbons couldn't scale. And I didn't really mention it, but I wanted to put the electric fence in, as I said, because gibbons would most likely try to escape. At least realistically. I know in the game they can have other fences, but in the real world they would absolutely scale those in minutes. So I wanted to have something a little bit more realistic, and it is pretty common for zoos to have at least a little electric wire at the top of their enclosures, just in case they're able to climb up there. It's better to risk a little bit of a shock to the animal than them being able to get out. So here is where I decided to do my education station. I did want it to be a little bit closed off, and I thought that the hedge fence would be the best one, kind of fit in with the theme a little bit. I didn't feel like I had to match it entirely to the tropical rainforest theme, especially because a lot of the buildings here just don't come in a tropical rainforest theme at all. And this was just kind of like a separate thing. It's just education station. It is inside the tropical rainforest area of the park. And threw in some viewing canopies, always very nice for the guests, and a bench so that parents could hypothetically watch their kids if the kids were not their own, how do you call it? Oh no, what do you call it when it's a computer generated character? They're just by themselves. They just walk around by themselves as far as I know. And yeah, I got the idea that I should include the sky tower. Little sky tower just thrown in. I do put it in eventually. But I really wasn't sure of the placement of anything in here. It was kind of complicated to figure out. But yeah, made it a little bit bigger because I wanted that fountain to be more directly in the middle. So we have 3 spaces on each side. On the right side, we have a little bit more space because that's where I wanted to concentrate the education buildings. And we don't leave that discovery kiosk there, but I definitely wanted to have one. That's definitely a main pillar of the education station is the discovery kiosk because that has little educational stuff. And I took a long time on its education station. There's a lot of periods where I'm just kind of thinking for a while. I was debating including a food court or not, but I have a massive food court in the middle of the park and it's really not that far to get to. So I figured maybe I should just include a little dessert cart, a little trash can, and something for drinks. But I decided not to put in a water drink stand because then people might complain that there weren't tables or whatever. I just wanted a dessert cart and I ended up putting a little water fountain in. And to kind of dress this square up a little bit, I put in a fountain, some flowers, some benches. Guests love that stuff. So I thought I'd make it a little bit more scenic and have something to sort of anchor everything around it. Because like I said, it was kind of difficult figuring out where to put everything. Decided I didn't like the concrete for this area. It made it feel a little bit too open. Sometimes that's a good thing, but I wasn't so much feeling it here, especially because everything is just kind of thrown into the corner. There's no like hugely, there's no strict organization. So because I didn't have everything like squared off or anything, I just prefer the dirt. And it's alright because we have our dirt path over on the left anyways, so it kind of ties it in. I didn't really see room for a restroom, so I put it off to the side. And anyways, that way, if you're just walking around, you're not going into the education station, you can still go to the bathroom off to the side. And we do actually see some people making use of that bathroom, so I guess it was good placement for it. And so now we are seeing what kind of other decorations and stuff, and I do end up putting in the water fountain. I put one next to the bathroom because that makes sense for real life, and I don't think I've ever put a water fountain into my zoos, but we're gonna try now. And put in some trash cans. We definitely needed one over by the cotton candy stand, but I put another one on the other side just because makes sense for real life, I guess, and makes sense just to balance it, get some symmetry in there. Decided I wanted an education podium, so made room with a little block of flowers removed, and of course had to put in an educator to make use of that podium. And so over in the corner, I have a face painting kiosk, a headset kiosk, a discovery kiosk, and a little reptile house, which I absolutely love. I love the little houses like that, but the reptile house is especially fun because there are 3 individual animals that have their own little animations. There's similar, like, it's one looping animation, but they didn't have to do that. They could have just made it a standard flat kiosk with basically just like pictures, but they went even further. They made it animated, which is pretty nice. and it's pretty cute. So I accidentally landed in here, but it's okay. We'll just use the gate, come out here, check out what it looks like to someone just walking through the rainforest area, walking past the geyser, which is pretty fun. The geyser is the only tropical rainforest scenery item I have right now because I haven't unlocked the other stuff. So getting a little view from the outside over here, what guests first see coming from this way. And we have one taking a little swim over there. I don't love what the electric fence looks like from the outside for the guests looking in, but I think it's better, at least for my zoo. I wanted to make it a little bit more realistic, true to life, because I don't think the gibbons would really be okay with just a nice little low fence. They would hop right over that, so it doesn't make sense to me. Nice little spring over there. I had the spring also in the lemur enclosure. I don't know, it's whatever. I have water in all of them, but sometimes I just feel like including that spring if I have room for it. So super nice fountain area. I love the fountains. I love putting flowers around fountains. It's great. And here is our reptile house. I'll show you the full animations looping through here. So we have the little chameleon guy coming out, grabbing some flies, going back into his tree. This guy, our cobra over here, generally just kind of lays there and then every once in a while pokes his head up and does a nice cobra strike and then lays back down. And finally, we have our little turtle guy over here that goes into the water, loops around, and comes back to his little island. And that's it for the reptile animations. I go around just in case to make sure that's all of them, and it is. So we have a look at our beautiful flowers. Look at that. Lovely. Very atmospheric. And someone's looking at the discovery kiosk, making use of that. Our sky tower, which is pretty great. And I had plopped in a music rock in that corner over there. Moving the educator podium because my educator was complaining he couldn't squeeze into that area. And I took care of that skip there with me taking care of the error messages of like no one being able to reach anything or a buffalo being thirsty. And now here is our final look in our enclosure. We have one running with his arms up over there, over here too. That's so sweet. Alright, I hope you guys found this helpful or entertaining and I have a bunch of other speed builds like this. Check out my other speed builds for the rest of this rainforest area. In the future, I'm planning on making probably one last enclosure for this area of the zoo and then moving on to something else. So check out my other speed builds, check out my Zoo Tycoon campaign videos, or any of my other videos. I play a few other games. And I will see y'all later. Bye-bye.
Hey there, it's your girl Rainbow. I'd really appreciate a like or checking out my other videos. Bye.